Přátelé, kamarádi, děkuju moc, že jste dneska všichni přišli tady k nám do Kaviaru. Pokračujeme totiž v naší Hookah Talk Show, kterou jsme vám představili před necelými 2 měsíci. Přivezli jsme tady Rezu Bavara, který byl naším prvním hostem. Dneska tady máme zase kamaráda spoza Velké louže, je to Sarkis Gregorian, arménský dýmkař v komunitě trošičku kontroverzní, avšak dneska jsme tady proto, abychom mu dali prostor říct jeho názor a uvidíme, jak se nám to všem bude líbit. Snad dost, ale nechám konečné posouzení na vás. Sarkis je známý tím, že provozuje skupinu Hookah Unlimited, dříve Hookah Unbiased, což je v podstatě něco jako naše Czech Hookah Forum, a do toho vlastní stejnojmenný e-shop Hookah Unlimited. Do toho vyrábí ještě korunky, všecko možné, takže je to podle něj hlavně muž na svém místě. Jak to dneska bude vypadat? Začneme za chviličku s diskuzí, která má 3 diskuzní bloky a vlastně na konci diskuze Sarkis vezme do rukou korunky, tabák, alobal, provoz, cokoliv a udělá tady menší workshop, takže se můžete podívat na jeho úžasná nabití a všechno možné, co budete po něm chtít, je tady jenom pro vás, takže ho vyšťavte, užijte si ho a třeba ho i trošku ožerte, takže není problém. Sarkis je zde proto, aby nás bavil, aby ukázal svůj skill a abyste z toho i vy něco měli. Já bych velice rád poděkoval SHANTI, které je hlavním sponzorem tady tohohle celého dílu, pořadu, seriálu, show, a taky díky našim sponzorům Kokoloko, kouříme z jejich uhlíky a hukajnu, který máme v korunkách, a také Kaviaru, díky kterému tady můžeme natáčet a moci si to užít. Takže já teďka přejdu do angličtiny, ať můžu uvítat Sarkise, on vám taky něco řekne. Užijte si to. Hello Sarkis, welcome to Prague. I'm glad that you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Just for your followers on TikTok, we are here in Prague in the Kaviar lounge and we're about to have an interview. It will be like 1.5 hour. It depends on your answers. And really thank you for to our sponsors, Kaviar, which were this is the place, SHANTI, our main sponsor, and Kokoloko Coals, we are smoking with them, and the Hookah tobacco, which we have in a bowl. So, let me begin. Sarkis, please tell me, what is your first experience in Czech Republic like?
Prague is something special. I don't know about the entirety of Czech Republic. I've only been in Prague, and it's my first time here in Czech Republic. But what I can tell is I love the history. I love the antiquity of this town. It's beautiful. The soul of this city really impresses me. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I love ancient history. And I could tell the 1,200 years of Czech history in this town. And it's beautiful. Between the statues, the giant Goth-esque statue on top of the castle on top of the hill. It's amazing. I've seen a few of the sites. I've walked around town for about an hour and a half, and so far I love it. I love the people. You guys are beautiful inside and out, and I love this town. Honestly, I could picture myself living here, but I'll need to visit for like 2 weeks next time to really experience it. But this is something special to me. I think this is one of my favorite cities in Europe so far. I mean, I've been touring Europe for the last 2 months, so yeah.
So far, do you enjoy our Czech beer, girls, our land, free things?
I'm not a beer
really
drinker.
Popular in Czech Republic.
I'm not a beer drinker. This is going to be probably controversial in itself, but I'm not a beer drinker. I prefer hard liquor. I prefer my whiskeys, bourbons, vodkas, single malt salt.
Salt.
Single
malt salt.
Single malt scotch is my go-to when I go to a bar, for example. I'm an Angel's Envy kind of bourbon drinker, and but as far as beer goes, I haven't had a chance to try. Maybe after the show, I'll have a beer. But personally, to me, guys, beer sits a little bit heavy.
You can try original Czech handcrafted beer.
Let's try it right now.
It's called
Patuška. Matuška or Matuška? Matuška beer, guys. Here's to
Cheers.
Everybody watching. And this is a lager type beer, or is it Pilsner? I'm not sure.
You like it?
It's delicious, yeah. It's a really good.
I think it's
Pilsner.
IPA, APA, something like that.
It tastes like a Pilsner, so I don't know. I don't know what you guys call it.
You are a beer pro.
No, but I like alcohol, guys. I mean, it's part.
Yeah, you have the best attitude for Czech Republic.
It's part of my culture, you know. I grew up on liquor, so yeah. But beer, if I drink this whole bottle, I will feel so bloated the entire night. I'm not a fan of beer personally, but I do appreciate all alcohol. I really do.
Okay.
Kind of like hookah.
Please, right now, introduce yourself to our Czech audience. And is there something which the whole community doesn't know about you? You recently mentioned that you like history, for example.
Yeah,
So
that's something
what
a lot
else?
of people don't know, but people who follow me in the Hookah Unlimited group for about the last decade, they see snippets of it coming out where I talk about antiquity and ancient history and this and that. It's one of my hobbies. I love it. I love reading about it. I love studying it. Everything from archaeology to genetics to ancient, just the life and the wisdom of the ancients. I think they had something that we're missing today. So it really intrigues me. But other than that, I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I'm a businessman at heart. People that know me know that I come from a marketing background. The idea of being able to control how you're perceived or how your product is perceived has always intrigued me, and I've always shown interest in it. I actually started my first business when I was 17 years old. I had a marketing agency. By the time I was 21 years old, I was able to open my lounge, completely funded by myself. So I had some success there. So,
And where are you born?
I was born in Yerevan, Armenia. Hayastan to all my Armenian guys and followers and viewers. Shout out to Siremzez, merci. We're now making Sima. And that's about it.
It was Armenian.
That was Armenian. Wow, the vodka is starting to hit me a little bit, guys. They made me drink like 3 shots in the last 5 minutes before we started shooting. So. No problem. But other than that, I'm one of those people that wears his heart on his sleeve. You guys know who I am by my demeanor. You guys know by what I say and what I talk about and what I prioritize. And that's about it. I love all cultures worldwide. I love where they come from. So things like antiquity and history really appeals to me, and that's what I find in Prague especially. I think I never knew Czechia was so infused in such beautiful history. I sense the medieval kind of influence, and it feels very special to be here, honestly.
Great. Tell me please more about your Armenian origin. For example, at what age did you move to America?
Well, I was born in Yerevan, and we came to the United States in 1990, right at the beginning of the war with Azerbaijan at the time. That war continued until 1994. But my dad, who was actually very much infused in the government, because at the time it was a Soviet republic, like Czechoslovakia at the time, and things were changing, and my dad was very afraid that because he was in a communist regime, that he would be neglected or he wouldn't have opportunities when the republic became democratic. So he made sure that we have an opportunity in America, and I moved here when I was basically 6 years old in 1990. I was born in 1984.
To California?
To Los Angeles, yes. Yes, LA, if you guys don't know, has a big Armenian population, and just like all ancient people, we like to stick together as much as possible so that we could preserve our heritage and our community, our language. So those things are really innately important to us, the preservation, especially if you look back 100 years ago, we had to suffer a genocide, and it's something that sticks with us to this day. And we, there's a popular saying within our culture is that our wounds are still open. We still bleed today because of the lack of international recognition of the Armenian genocide, and the lack of international integrity as far as honoring the past and recognizing what actually happened. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember your first years in America? How it was growing up there?
It was very interesting. I mean, I came here when I was 6 years old, so they put me in first grade. So you could imagine the transition, trying to learn the language, which is brand new to me. It was very interesting making that transition as a child. In Armenia, I was learning Armenian, Russian, Greek, and French, just because my family is from those regions. So I was studying 4 languages before I learned English. And I remember the moment we stepped foot in America, my parents were like, no more Russian, no more Greek, no more French, only only English and Armenian, just to preserve our language at the least, you know. So that's all we talked in our household.
Last thing about Armenia, what about hookah culture in Armenia? Is it developed or not?
From what I can tell, it has a very heavy Russian influence. Which, if you guys
Speaking
know
of today.
Today, if you guys don't know about my opinion on Russian influence, is that it's incomplete. So you see the prevalence of brands like Dark Side, for example, in Armenia, and the packing methods, the use of the HMDs, cloud, and whatnot. Instead of having a more complete understanding of all the options at your disposal between foil and provost and different packing methods and this and that. It's I wouldn't say it's developed, but it's becoming very Russian-esque.
Mm-hmm. So when I go to Yerevan, there is no problem to have a hookah there?
No. There's a lot of cafes have incorporated hookah offerings. Almost every single cafe that I know of, you could get a hookah. Most clubs you go to, most nightlife-oriented spots, you'll have access to hookah easily.
But the average one, of course.
What do you
mean?
mean?
In a nightclub,
Yeah, in a nightclub, you could definitely, like 7 or 8 out of 10 nightclubs will have hookah there. So it's
like Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like, there aren't any distinct laws that are anti-hookah. There are some anti-tobacco, like cigarettes, laws in public places being incorporated more recently. But you could imagine it's more like Russia, where there is a law, but it's not enforced. So that's how it is from what I know of Armenia.
Thank you. It was interesting. And now, please, describe to me your first ever hookah experience. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. It was the first time I fell in love with hookah, and it was a negative experience. That's the funny thing about it.
Most of our first experiences were negative, I can say.
My first time was at this place called Habibi Cafe in Westwood.
Habibi Cafe.
Yeah, and my LA people know Habibi. Across the street from Gypsy Cafe, right there at UCLA, and that was the first hookah lounge in LA, actually, Habibi Cafe. That's why they had a notoriety, and they had some semblance of popularity where people were like, okay, if you're gonna go to hookah, you go to Habibi. So the first hookah I've ever had was double apple, because the person that introduced me to hookah was Arabic, and he was a friend of mine. And he was like, yeah, bro, you gotta try the hookah. It's bomb. Double apple, bro. Double apple, double apple. Double apple. I'll never forget it. I was excited, of course, but upon actually tasting it, it tasted nothing like apple. So I was like, what kind of apple is this? Where? So
the biggest lie in the hookah industry.
What's funny, to this day, it stuck with me, because on the principle of the fact that double apple does not taste like apple. It's an anise flavor. I don't like it. It's just on that basis, So I remember the first time I called the waitress over. I was 17, and waitress comes over, and I was like, hey, this isn't what we ordered. And she was like, you ordered double apple? I was like, yeah, this doesn't taste like apple. She was like, oh, it's supposed to taste like that. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like how the picture says 2 apples, green and red apple, very distinctly, It did not taste like that at all. And I remember I had the hookah guy come to confirm it. They took me to the back in the hookah kitchen just to show me the can, make me smell it, because I was in disbelief. Because remember, guys, before that I had no experience with hookah. So I assumed it was like everything else. When you order food at a restaurant, if you order an avocado bacon burger, you're gonna get an avocado bacon burger. It's gonna taste.
With double apple.
But not with double apple. So once they persuaded me that this is authentic and they didn't make a mistake, they asked if I want a refill, and I ordered peach, and it actually tastes kind of like peach. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. So that was my first experience.
And at the beginning, when you start smoking, what was your favorite equipment and tobacco?
If you guys know, just to put things into perspective, we're talking about 21 years ago, okay? So the LA scene for hookah was very different. Back then, it was rare that you actually own your own hookah, and unless you're from an Arabic family, you would go mostly to hookah lounges to smoke. So I didn't even have a hookah for years. However, my friend had a hookah. And after spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars at hookah lounges as broke college kids, we were like, it's time to, actually high school kids, we were like,
our own.
It's time to get our own. So I remember my friend, the guy who introduced me to hookah, he bought a hookah from the local smoke shop. And that's when we started experimenting.
And it was something like Khalil Mamoon or...
Khalil Mamoon didn't even exist yet. It was some rinky-dink, non-branded like Egyptian hookah. It was from Egypt. It was just, they didn't have a brand back then. If you guys don't know about the history of hookah, guys, even Khalil Mamoon, the names of like the Kamanja and the Prince and the whatever names you have, those names were actually given by the distributors and the vendors. They were not given by Khalil Mamoon as an official model name. It was just, this is the hookah. Call it whatever you want.
Yeah, because they couldn't read Arabic.
Yeah, and there was no actual Arabic name for it. It was just, this is a hookah, and this is a hookah, and this is
number
a hookah.
One, number two.
Yeah,
number
basically. That's basically how it was. And it was actually the industry that named them. So the names and the things that you're familiar with today, it was a very organic, natural evolution of trying to market these hookahs as something special and unique. So these names were not official by Khalil Mamoon. They were just what became accepted. So one vendor got one model in, they called it a Kamanja, for example, and then everybody was just, okay, so this is the Kamanja.
And your popular tobacco back then? Al-Fakhr?
2001, shit. 2001, it was, we had access to Nakhla, Alamir, Arwaha, Leilina, and I think that was it. That was it was a year later, in 2002, we had Al-Fakhr in the United States. Actually, technically, they started distributing in 2001, but we didn't see it in the stores until 2002. So, but once Al-Fakhr came out, it changed everything because suddenly we had a shisha brand that actually tasted good and lasted a while.
And had like 60 flavors.
Yeah, and had a lot of flavors, absolutely. We had options. So that's what made Al-Fakhr special.
For you, what's the best way to learn about hookahs? Is it some kind of lecture, hookah blog, or the community work, or just experimenting?
Honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. If you are driven to invest your time and try to understand what affects what, because hookah is just like anything else. There's a cause and effect. If you do this, you get this. If you do that, you get that. So if you just experiment, you're going to get good results. However, if you're not driven to finding the peak of what a session entails, then joining an online community would be the best bet because you get exposed to all the best brands, all the most unique things, and especially if you join something like Hookah Unlimited, which is psychotically, focused on only the best. Then you get to kind of skip steps and level up quicker instead of being distracted with what's popular now, what's popular there, what's this blogger is recommending, what that reviewer is recommending. None of that matters. What matters is whatever is the best. That's what Hookah Unlimited offers. I can't say the same about every other community.
So it's the mix of experimenting and the hookah community for you. And for example, what exactly pushed you to learning more about hookahs?
I have a very, very specific kind of personality where
we know.
where if I'm doing something, I'm gonna do the best version of it. Okay, so if I'm gonna dedicate myself to the gym, I'm gonna study it, or fishing, or anything. If I'm gonna be about that, I'm gonna study it, I'm gonna understand it, I'm gonna comprehend it 100%. No doubt in my mind. It's just a straightforward to the top as soon as and as efficiently as possible. So when I got into hookah myself, there were no online communities. There was guys, we're talking about 2001.
There were barely internet connections.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about AOL, instant messenger. We didn't have anything. So
you were ICQ hookah
yeah, and
support.
especially because I don't come from an Arabic heritage, I didn't have an uncle that smoked hookah that taught me how to do anything. You know what I mean? It was like my point of reference was at the hookah lounge. So my first goal was to make a bowl that's as good or better than what I had at a hookah lounge.
Mm-hmm. Now, which of these phrases describe your attitude towards hookah the best.
Only fast one for you?
more vodka. Let's go.
Drinking
Cheers,
pause.
my friends. Jesus, fucking. Let's go. Shot number 4.
Okay, so a hookah for you is a lifetime hobby, a social tool, a product to make business with, or a way to get you fame and respect. Which of these phrases describe it the best?
If you guys have followed me, I completely and absolutely, I'm against that last point about self-promotion. I abhor that notion. If you do something, you shouldn't do it for yourself. You should do it because you love it. Nothing else. It should be selfless. Something that is pure is also selfless, guys. This is some wisdom I could teach you. This is something from the ancients that I've learned. Something that is pure is selfless. If it's selfish, if it feeds you, if it's beneficial for your person, that is not natural and it is not authentic and is not sincere. So at Hookah Unlimited, whenever we see something that is about self-promotion, automatically it's like, no, that's not what we're about.
So what's hookah for you?
Hookah for me is a lifelong lifestyle. It's a craft, it's a hobby, it's science, it's art. It's so many things put together, and it's such a niche, industry where you could really dive into it, and there's so much to unravel. It always keeps interesting. There's so much to do with it. Between mixology, packing methods, actual like products, hookah types, bowls, there's so much to it that you could dedicate your entire life to it, and there's always something new to be learned.
What some people don't know is that you actually used to run a lounge called ISIS. Tell me the story of your lounge.
Well, ISIS was created before ISIS existed.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
So Isis Lounge was dedicated to the Egyptian goddess Isis. And she was the mother goddess of love and fertility. She was known to helping the needy and the poor. So I wanted to dedicate my lounge to the hookahs that we were using, which were Khalil Mamoun's and Magdi Zidan's. They were Egyptian hookahs. So it was natural for me to pay homage to something Egyptian. And because of my study of ancient cultures and history, it was obviously, one step away from naming it after one of the gods or goddesses of the Egyptian mythology. Isis was a 4-letter word. It was easy to remember. It's 2 letters repeating. So it was a no-brainer as far as marketing goes to name it Isis. I started that lounge in 2007 was when I incorporated it. It wasn't until 2015 where Daesh or ISIS came to be, and it was
located in downtown Los
Let me
Angeles.
tell you guys, it was one day suddenly my website is getting 20,000 hits in a month, and I'm like, what's going on? That's when I
Where are these customers?
yeah, I googled, and then the ISIS lounge, and it's like Yazdi women being captured, rape, and I was like, what's going on here? And then after that, because I'm Armenian and I'm very stubborn, I was like, I'm gonna fight this. I was first.
Fight ISIS
Yeah.
to clean the name of my lounge.
I gotta clear the name. I gotta preserve the history and the gravitas of what the name represents truly versus what is being perceived by the media. Even Obama at the time, he tried to clarify. He started calling it ISIL, not ISIS. But it was too late. It was already integrated into the media, and people recognized ISIS. And business took a hit, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It was also around the same time California changed the laws. It was 2016 where the smoking age became from 18 to 21. So you could imagine a lot of hookah lounges suffered at the transition from being 18 and over to 21 and over. Now we had to compete with bars. But at the same time, my lounge in particular took a secondary hit where we had to battle the whole thing about ISIS. It was very difficult.
So these were the reasons why you suddenly closed the place?
Well, I closed in 2020. I kept going. Thankfully, by the blessings of God, my lounge was always profitable. I had to exercise certain tactics to make it profitable, even though we were experiencing a...
So you're 16, you look 21.
No, nothing like that. What I did was I remodeled the place. I made it more appealing to 21-year-olds versus 18-year-olds. Originally, it was very dark and dim. We had DJs 4 nights a week. And then I made the transition into being more of a cafe-style place where you could come and do work or maybe play games, or it was more classier. It was better looking. I invested a lot of money to remodel the entire place. It worked for a while. I reduced the staff. I increased the quality of service. There's only so much you can do. I changed up the menu. Before we had a giant menu. It was like Cheesecake Factory. We had everything from lobster tail to filet mignon. Yeah, I served lobster tail. It was amazing. My recipe, you guys will love it. We had this butter lobster tail.
Okay, guys, get the lobster tail.
No, I'm serious, guys. We had a saffron reduction butter sauce for the lobster tail. It was phenomenal. We infused it with champagne, and everything was made to order. Everything was very natural at my lounge.
I was just about to ask you, what kind of experience did you provide to your customers? So lobster tail on one side, and what kind of hookah experience?
So I believe, even back then, I believe that the lounge is the first tier experience that people have to hookah. Before people shop online, before they Google a forum or a community, they'll go to a hookah lounge. So it's on the hookah lounge's responsibility and obligation to provide an experience that's unlike any other. That's how I did my lounge. We had 8 different brands. We had over 150 flavors. We had organic coffee and tea bar. We had a relatively gourmet menu where you could order anything from fresh made pita chips to lobster tail.
Let's move to your current business. What can you tell me about your Hookah and Hookah Unlimited e-commerce shop? What do you do differently, for example, towards your competitors?
Let me take a hit.
Take a hit.
If you guys can't tell, I genuinely love hookah. HookahUnlimited.com is a reflection of the Hookah Unlimited community. All the nonsense is thrown away. We don't look at what's popular, we look at what's best. We've categorized everything with everything that we teach at Hookah Unlimited. So instead of looking for tobacco and you just find shisha, you see everything categorized specifically. You see beginner blonde leaf, performance blonde leaf, you see dark leaf, all categorized in their own way. Every single tobacco, for example, that you buy has recommendations of what bowl you should that's best with, what HMD is best with. It tells you how many grams of tobacco it takes at a dense pack and at a fluff pack. And as I make more content, I link the YouTube videos and the TikToks and whatnot so that you have more perspective.
So extended product cards, a lot of information.
Yeah, the idea is informing the people. My belief is, guys, maybe I'm a capitalist. Maybe I'm so American that I have this mentality where everything is consumer driven. If the consumer market demands, the industry will follow. They don't have a choice. But the consumer market has to be informed. If they're not informed, then everything is good. Everything is acceptable. That's not what the reality is, because we see this in everyday examples. For example, oftentimes the most popular is also the worst quality. Look at McDonald's, look at Starbucks. Look at Toyota and Honda versus Porsche and BMW. Real life examples tell us the truth, but rarely is what sells the most and what's most popular is the highest quality. That is not the case. At Hookah Unlimited, we've basically broken things down based on price range, because I understand that different people have different budgets. So what we did is we went ahead and chose the best hookah, for example, up to $100. The best hookahs from $100 to $150, and we broke it down that way.
So it's all sorted out.
It's all sorted out. It's all organized. The website, I've put so many. It took me a year to put together the website, just because the back end is so massive that it's pretty crazy.
And what product features do you seek in your portfolio? What is a good hookah product for you? Key features.
It depends on.
For example, let's say.
Yeah,
hookah.
it depends on your budget, but generally I look for something that's direct chamber, which is different from traditional chamber. I've done videos on this and explaining the differences. Check me out on YouTube. I have a whole rundown on different types of hookahs, and what's key is to have a stainless steel internals, and because stainless steel is the cleanest material you can use, that's not going to cost too much necessarily. And what's on the outside is irrelevant. It could be Delrin or Palm or it could be stainless steel or aluminum. The outside is irrelevant to what's going on. What's important is where the points of the hookah, for example, of the pipe that the smoke passes through. You want that to be stainless steel. More vodka.
More vodka for you.
Yeah, my
Cheers.
friend. Let's go. Cheers. Let's go. Why isn't he drinking?
Proper
Because
Czech experience.
they problem.
I'm a beer
With me.
guy.
You take this one.
No.
You have to take it. You take this one.
That's the rule. You are vodka, I'm beer. So, let's continue. You said stainless steel.
Yeah, stainless steel, direct chamber. Those are the most important things in a hookah. Diffuser, not diffuser is irrelevant. That's subjective. That's a personal preference. You know, the fact of the matter is you can't quantify personal preference, but you can quantify objective fact. If you look at anything in the world of science and technology, you notice the same trend happening. You know, my theories and my ideas are not based on my ideas. They're based on what actually is reality. So, yeah.
Let's end this part with something different, because for some part of community, you're kind of, how to say it, controversial person. So, my question is, why do you have such a bad reputation in some communities? Let me tell you some of the common critical opinions I said, and you can respond. For example, Sarkis proclaims himself as a hookah god with literally zero self-reflection.
Stop. Can we do it one step at a time?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. The hookah god term was not given to me by myself, but it was given by my haters. I never called myself a hookah god. I don't care about titles like that. I am Sarkis, I am me, and I could only be me. How I'm perceived by people that talk against me or talk for me is not under my control, but it's on the person that is receptive and interpreting what they see to make that decision. I can't proclaim myself at anything. Other people proclaim me as hookah god.
Okay, let's move on. His way is the best, and he does not hesitate to fight against other people's opinions.
Why would I hesitate to fight against something I believe in? That is a question I want to ask people. That's the fact of the matter. If you believe in something, why would you not defend it? My go-to question when somebody proposes an opposite or a contradictory method or idea is asking simply, why? And I've never had anybody be able to give me a legitimate, sound argument to back their ideas. What it always comes down to is, I prefer it this way. And my response to that is, no one cares what you prefer. Because that's the fact. Personal preference applies solely and strictly to the individual. So it's not quantifiable, because every single person has a different preference. No one can decide what's best for you other than yourself. How can I, as a teacher, as an influencer, as a reviewer, whatever you want to call me, say that this method is better than the other when it only applies to you, one person? I think that's selfish, and I think that's very egotistical to proclaim that your preference is better than everybody else's. That makes no sense to me.
Okay, let's move. His group is full of sheeps. For the other communities in general, he is a toxic person.
That is so far from the truth. If you guys actually spend some time in my community, you see that my followers are the most intelligent, most soulful. They're the most driven and the most passionate people in the community. Oftentimes they challenge me, which I accept wholeheartedly. And nobody's a sheep. In fact, if anybody sucks up to me too much, I kick them out of the group.
Okay.
Because nobody likes to suck up, guys. We're not interested in those type of people. We want authentic people who care about and love hookah on their own terms.
Okay, another one. His packing methods, density levels, and sortings of brands is really an over-engineering of the hookah practice.
Anything that you learn, anything that's skill-related, when you first learn it is unnatural to you. Everything from how to fight, how to throw a punch, how to throw a kick. If you guys know about martial arts, if you have that experience, you know that a Thai kick comes very unnatural, but it's the most effective, most efficient, most powerful kick in the world.
Show me.
I can't, I'm not gonna go. But anybody that knows martial arts knows this is a fact. But once you actually put in the work to get it down, then it becomes natural. It becomes the best because it is the best. Anything, guys, shooting a basketball. When you first shoot a basketball, if you guys can remember, you never shoot it properly. You shoot it like a moron, honestly, until you learn the correct way of shooting a basketball. And then things change, and then you can actually have more control over the basketball. You have better aim. You know what you're doing, and it's efficient, and it takes into account things that you didn't originally account, like how easy it is to block, how easy it is to pass in the middle of the shot, for example. All these things matter.
So
In the same way with hookah. Once you get the basics down, the fundamentals down, it becomes easier. It doesn't become more difficult. You have full control over what you're doing. You can manipulate your tobacco and your bowl to do what you want it to do instead of you having to be limited to whatever it does on its own.
So in your words, it's not over-engineered.
It's not. It's actually simplifying hookah. Of course, you need to put in some effort, just like any other craft or skill. Guys, a lot of people that are viewing are gamers. Build me a gaming PC. There's a lot that goes in it, but people that know how to build a big gaming PC, for them it's very easy.
Yeah, NVIDIA versus AMD.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I would never comment on something I don't know anything about. But there's so much to it. Someone that is not passionate about gaming and building PCs and things like that will be like, oh, this is an over-engineering. You're making it too complicated. Just get me an Alienware computer and I'll be fine. But an enthusiast will be like, that's a ripoff. You're paying $3,500 for what? You could build something better for $1,500. That's the fact of it.
Okay, the last one. Instead of open discussion, he bans people on his side. This has happened to many Czech hookah community members. He also insults people with different opinions and doesn't admit other successful ways of smoking which differ from his own.
I come from a very scholastic perspective as far as debate is concerned. The moment you leave the topic and start making assumptions or insults, that's called ad hominem. The moment you break the rules of argument and the moment you dive into the world of logical fallacies, opens up me to do the same to you. Every conversation, every discussion, every discourse that has ever started has always started with the best intentions for me to learn and understand where the person is coming from. Again, I always start with the question why. I may make an accusation or a statement like, if you pack tangiers at a fluff pack with a lotus, you're not going to get the best session. And I leave it to them to counter, to rebuttal. That is true and honest discourse and debate. What happens is, I like it like that. It's like, okay, I don't care how you like it. Why would I like it? They can't answer that question. What happens though is that their ego is hurt and they don't like it. So they start causing issues. They start trolling, they start backlashing. And at some point...
the easiest way for you is to ban them.
It's not the easiest way. At some point, you have to make a decision whether this person is beneficial to the community, because the community is not concerned. The community does not consist of that one individual. It consists of tens of... My group was the largest in the United States for a reason. I had to worry about tens of thousands of people, not the one individual. But if that one individual is causing other members to feel uncomfortable, they need to go.
So, coming back to our original question. So, after these claims, why do you have such a bad reputation in the community?
I don't think I have a bad reputation in the community. I think I have a bad reputation towards people who have not bothered to actually look at hookah logically and scientifically. I have people who generally want to make hookah into a hobby versus a craft usually have a problem with me. People who have an ego where they want to express their ideas as legitimate have a problem with me because I put my foot down and I logically dismantle their entire argument. They have a problem with me. It's not personal. It's about sharing true and honest information. I believe in empowering every single member with the most sincerest and truthful information possible so that they can make decisions on their own. We see this in every other industry, but for hookah, for some reason, it becomes controversial to speak truth and fact. It's so very weird to me.
You're not easygoing, talkative person, like, yeah, it's fine, let's do it like that.
Yeah.
But you're constantly...
Being unbiased, which my group was originally called, means that you are without bias. That has nothing to do with being tolerant. And I've made this argument many, many times. I've told people, hey, listen, our job is not to be tolerant of what your preferences are, but to equip you to become better at hookah, to have a more informed understanding of what hookah is.
So maybe that's the scientific approach of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a scientific approach. Everything is based on the scientific method. For example, when I review a tobacco, I don't just smoke it once or twice and call it good or bad. I go through every single possible feasible way of preparing it to decide which one is the best. It's all objective. I take no personal opinion into it at all. So oftentimes people that might be a fan of the brand or people that are being paid by the brand will have problems with me.
Okay, for a while we go to United States and talk more about the community there. So please name your favorite US hookah products and why are your favorite, if there is any.
Okay, listen. In the United States,
Maybe in the past also.
there's two categories of hookah products that excels above any other in the world. Tobacco and bowls. The United States excels in tobacco quality and in bowls.
You can name any specific brand you want.
Alpaca bowls, shout out to them, nothing but love. Omar is an amazing guy and is dedicated to the industry and improving the hobby. Alpaca bowls, in my opinion, are the most consistently good compared to any other handcrafted, hand-spun, natural clay bowl in the world. The fact of the matter is, if you compare to Europe and Russia, the vast majority of the bowls are actually made out of a mold, and they're not hand-spun. And the fact of the matter is that when you hand-spin a clay product, the composition, the molecular structure of the end result after it's cooked in the kiln becomes different. You get a different result and you get a more higher quality experience as a result of that versus it being injected into a mold, which is a cheat to keep the cost down, which appeals to the average smoker because it's cheaper but it looks good. But at an enthusiast level, if we apply standards to production, handcrafted, hand-spun natural clay bowls are far superior, not on theory or on principle, but in the result you get because you just get better sessions every single time.
And speaking of American tobacco, you mentioned?
Tangier is the best dark leaf in the world. Every single dark leaf in the world aspires to be Tangiers. They've all failed. That's enough. You know, American brands like Hayes, which is currently manufactured in Poland, but by American standards.
A lot of brands are manufactured in Poland.
But Hayes is the I would name Hayes as the top performance tier blonde leaf on the market. I mean, you know, for me, it's not even about a personal preference or ideas or affiliation with a brand. It's about what the product does for you. If you pack Hayes ideally, you'll get 2.5 hours each time. You don't see that with most blonde leaves. You just don't. I mean, let's be real, guys. Most of you guys viewing will probably call it absurd or illogical for something to last 2.5 hours to begin with. And mind you, I'm not talking about a giant bowl. I'm talking about 15, maybe 17 grams of tobacco. You get 2.5 hour sessions. That's impressive. That's what Hayes does. On top of that, they have some amazing flavors too. So shout out to Hayes. Good job. But this is, again, performance tier.
Mm-hmm. And in the opposite, what are the worst US products for you and why?
There's so many. I don't want to name brands. Oh my God, they're gonna.
If you connect it with a logical background, as you said, you're that kind of person.
My friends, there's so many US brands that are really lacking. They're just off-the-shelf Chinese recycled products. And what I mean by off-the-shelf is stuff like you contact any Chinese shisha hookah manufacturer and they have like 30 models and they just buy one, put their label on it and be like, oh, this is the new so-and-so. It's embarrassing at best. The US, as far as the hookah market is concerned, I'm talking about the pipes, is lacking so severely, it's embarrassing. There's only 2 brands that are actually attempting to do something good. Shout out to Regal Hookahs, which is the original CNC machine pipe. Started that industry along with Starbuzz USA. Every other CNC machined, properly engineered hookah is existent today because of Starbuzz USA and Regal Hookahs. And also B2, shout out to them. They're LA natives. They're LA Los Angeles production. If B2 hookahs cost a lot, it's because of Los Angeles labor laws. Like it's very expensive to manufacture in LA, guys. If you guys don't know this right now. They're not trying to, like B2 is not trying to rip you off. It genuinely costs so much to manufacture in Los Angeles. For example, I would never manufacture in Los Angeles for that reason. You know, it's very expensive.
So China is the place for you.
No, there's other options. It's just not LA.
Okay, so you don't want to name.
No, I can't name those brands, guys. I already have enough flack. Okay, you know what?
After 5 shots of vodka, you can name it.
I have a personal vendetta against Mob Hookah. I think Mob. I think they're the most embarrassing brand on the market. They sell containers worth.
Batman hookah.
Every month, container. Yeah, they make Batman. They make AK-47. They don't even make it. The factory in China just makes it for them, and they just put their name on it. Oh, look at the Mob so and so. It's like, okay, great job. You just recycled the same. You did nothing, and I don't respect that. I have no respect for that.
Let's move on. What problems does the hookah community in the US face? For example, let's say FDA, flavor bans. Tell me more about it.
Flavor bans are an LA thing, and the problem with the LA thing is that California influences the rest of the United States. But there's a bigger problem at hand, which is the FDA, which, believe it or not, I am a proponent for. I want the FDA to get involved. I think the FDA should be involved. It's not good for majority of the brands.
Explain the shortcut. FDA.
FDA is the Food and Drug Administration of the United States.
And why they are causing problems?
They're basically United States government. The federal government has basically established that a flavored tobacco product. No, bro.
Last one.
What's wrong with these people? The
Cheers, man.
you know I'm on a live interview, right?
Sure.
Like, okay.
I'm Vietnamese. I don't have enzyme about alcohol, so
He loves it.
Same.
Cannot suggest. Okay, so the Food and Drug Administration of America, of the United States, has basically taken upon themselves to govern and regulate hookah tobacco as well. In addition to all flavored tobacco products, which is loosely named and falls in the category of everything from flavored cigars, cigarillos, to vape juices and vape products as well. In the long run, personally, I see this as a good thing, because if something is regulated, that means bad quality stuff cannot exist. But in the short term, brands are going to need to spend a lot of money to be able to put their product on the market.
For what? Like for license or?
For FDA approval. FDA approval is very costly and it's very time consuming. It takes years before they can approve any particular thing.
That's the federal level, but you have different kind of laws.
No, something like the FDA governs every single state.
Yeah.
The federal.
What I'm speaking.
Remember, the federal is above every state.
Yeah.
But there are state level
has its own laws.
Yes, but they can't.
But
But the state cannot go above or go past the federal regulation. But every state has their own laws. For example, in Los Angeles County, they're doing a flavor ban, which is basically any flavored tobacco is no longer allowed to be sold in brick and mortar stores. Yes, it's already been in effect. There's a couple of cities that we lobbied against. Shout out to the
people.
The hookah community. Oh my goodness! Just Google hookah
Association.
commerce, hookah association, the hookah community association of America, something like that. Google it; they'll pop up. Shout out to them. Shout out to George of Regal, who's been a fighter. Shout out to Al Fakhr. Shout out to Starbucks. Shout out to Fumari, who have been investing their own resources into fighting this. But it did pass, to my knowledge, that in Los Angeles County at least, you're no longer going to be able to walk into a store and buy tobacco, shisha tobacco, flavored tobacco.
And it happens also in different states. For example, I know that you are not allowed to open a new hookah bar in New York.
In different states have different things. I don't have experience in other states. Mm-hmm. In New York, I know that you have to be grandfathered in. But I also know that New York is a very liberal state, similar to Los Angeles. The difference is in Los Angeles, suburbs of LA will allow certain exceptions. For example, in Glendale, where I reside, if you have an outdoor area, you could you could dedicate up to 65% of an outdoor area specifically for smoking. So there's ways around it. Different cities will have different
Shortcuts.
laws. Yeah, there's loopholes. Yeah.
Okay, so please, speaking of lounges, describe to me the American lounge scene. Is it advanced or miserable? Do you have any recommendations
Just like
where
Europe,
to go?
just like Europe, there's gonna be some really crummy places that are just hole-in-the-wall joints where you could only get a hookah and maybe a Coca-Cola can. And there's also more advanced stuff. The best hookah lounges in all of America are found in Los Angeles County. If I could shout out any particular lounge, shout out to Gitana Cafe, shout out to The Spot. These guys have been fighters from day one. They've been in business since like '98. And they're giant. And the thing about the LA scene is you have to pair food with hookah.
It's allowed or
It's
permitted?
They've just been in existence for so long. They've grandfathered all those things in and incorporated into it. Cafe O, Gitanas, which are the same family, owns it. And and
but you can serve or you cannot serve food.
you
with
absolutely
hookahs?
can in these places. A lot of LA lounges, including my own, you could serve food and you could smoke at the same time. It's not segregated. That's just a LA thing. And honestly, in my opinion, a hookah lounge is not a lounge unless you can get food. Because the truth is you're smoking for 2 hours at a time, at minimum, unless you get a refill. It's like 3 hours, 4 hours. You keep going and you're gonna get hungry. And if you guys don't know, if you smoke hookah on an empty stomach and you're not hydrated, it's not gonna be pleasant. So it's very crucial. It's actually healthy for you to be able to have access to food while you're smoking hookah. So the best lounges, in my opinion, offer food. Personally, I rarely step into a hookah lounge that doesn't offer food. Because at the end of the day, at a hookah lounge, the hookah is not that great.
And do you have any other recommendations outside of the LA County? For example, a lot of people in the community shout out Anchor.
I don't even know what Anchor is, my friend.
Oh, okay. It's a lounge, I don't know where it's based, but not in California, I think, which offers the European Russian style kind of experience.
There's a couple of LA spots.
Hookah Place LA in the downtown.
Hookah Place, Mojo. Neither of them serve food. So, I mean, guys, at the end of the day, you're going to get a Russian style hookah, which is already lacking.
So the vast majority of lounges are like cafes, or because we are in
The
Czech
best
Republic,
ones-
we started in tea rooms.
The best ones have food. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for at a hookah lounge. If you're looking for a place you could kick it at for 2 hours and, I don't know, be on your computer or your cell phone, there's plenty of options. LA hookah scene is huge. I mean, it's like there's multiple hookah lounges in every city. In Glendale alone, I think there's like 6 or 7 hookah lounges. And it's not the biggest city. It's a suburb of LA.
The celebrities have to go somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
To Mojo, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know where they go, but downtown LA is a prime location, of course. Downtown LA is very poppin', and of course, if a celebrity is going to go out anywhere, it's going to be in downtown LA. It's only logical. They're not going to go out to the suburbs. They're there for a temporary amount of time. They're going to go to DTLA. DTLA is very poppin'. It's very popular. It's very trendy. So yeah, that doesn't mean those lounges are good quality at all.
Okay. What's the American way of smoking based on the available products?
I have no
Because, for example, in Czech Republic, we say the American style is dance pack with the funnel bowl, provost. So
why do you limit yourself this way? I don't understand.
yeah, I want to hear it from you because
I
that's
don't
all we
look,
see.
guys. I
on
have
the
never
in the
understood.
community.
I have never in my life understood why any nation would limit themselves to the specific nation. The way we do things at Unlimited, we're beyond nations. It's not about nations. It's not about one style. It's only about what's the best.
Yeah,
so
but based on the available products, for
yeah,
example, you use
single-
foil or Agent
No,
D's.
I mean, it depends on what you're packing, right? So if you pack Fumori and Starbuzz and Alfachar, you would use a Lotus. If you're packing Tangiers and Haze and Trifecta, you use a Provost. The idea is to have an unlimited, an unlimited array of options at your disposal so that you can take each thing that you prepare to its peak potential without being limited in the notion that this is the right or that is the right. Lotuses, Provosts, these are tools. These are not absolutes at all. I am so against that notion that in America we use foil. Yeah, majority of people use foil. majority of people in America, as the entirety of the United States, they use foil and Egyptian bowls. But that doesn't mean that it's the best option.
Hookahs.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's just what's most accessible.
And that's what you can find in the vast majority of lounges.
I mean, we're looking at the United States. So don't forget, the United States is bigger than all of Europe put together. California alone, one state is larger than France. I mean, to put into perspective, you know, this is one thing I've noticed about Europe and Russia. They don't understand how big the United States actually is. And at least that's the impression I get often. One state is the size of an entire European nation.
So you can't say something is a general way of smoking in America.
Yeah, I mean, what's most commonly used are foil and Egyptian bowls, but that's just because what's most accessible. That's what we're trying to change.
Yeah, based on the available products.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know, the majority of people smoke al-fakhr and starbuzz. Foil is fine.
Okay, let's speak about dark leaf tobacco. What are the key features of dark leaf tobacco for you?
More nicotine. More natural preparation, that's key. Longevity, flavor preservation, and cloud output. As you can tell in my videos on TikTok, you know, the way when you prepare something optimally, you get the biggest clouds and the best flavor preservation. These are key. I think, in my opinion, from my experience as a lounge owner, serving tens and tens of thousands of people, influencing entire communities, influencing the world, when it comes to hookah preparation, I've noticed that a specific trend. Every single person in the world wants specific things. If you ask the majority of people the right way, which is this, what is most important to you? They'll say flavor, quality. Okay. What's the next most important? They'll say cloud output or smoke. Okay. What's the third most important thing? They'll say how long the flavor and the smoke lasts. These are absolutes. The ideal person, the only thing people want out of their hookah session is flavor and clouds, and if they can make it last longer, even better.
In Czech lounges, we have a common say, I want something fresh without the mint. It's really common here.
Fresh without mint?
Yeah.
Or just ice flavors?
In general, you can find some customers that want something like that in Czech Republic. But moving aside Tangiers, what are your popular dark leaf blends worldwide?
Oh my
if
goodness.
there's any.
The best dark leaf outside of Tangiers is Must Have, bar none. I'm most impressed by Must Have, and then after that is Trifecta Dark, and then Kismet. By the results, guys. This is what I keep telling people in the community. To a lot of people's dismay, it's not about what your opinions are or what affiliation you have or whether you're a fan of the brand. Those things are irrelevant. What matters is what the brand does for you. So if something preserves flavor better and lasts longer, makes bigger clouds for longer, it's better than something that doesn't. It's very simple logic. This is what I mean by the things I teach and the things we teach at Hookah Unlimited is simple. Everything's based on common sense and logic. Everything's based on making things easier for you to understand. And yet...
And right now, speaking of Tangiers, I know it's tough, but try to name five of your different and everyday flavors.
From Tangiers,
Yeah.
specifically, Cane Mint, Summer Solstice, 2005 Blueberry, Cashmere Peach, and Welsh Cream.
Last one, Welsh cream. Okay. Now, please describe to me your relationship with the domestic and the foreign hookah communities. Do you treat them with respect, and so do they?
My experience with any community is whoever dares to come into Hookah Unlimited. And I say dare because Hookah Unlimited is such a niche and unique environment. It always prioritizes performance over subjective preference. So my experience is that a lot of people want to bring in their ideology, and it often goes against the Hookah Unlimited ideology. Excuse me, guys, I've had so much goddamn vodka. My goodness.
Proper Czech experience.
So there's precedents that people bring in. For example, often in Eastern European and Russian circles, you see the excessive use of the lotus. God, I don't understand. Because if you just apply a little bit of effort, foiling and poking holes in a bowl takes 5 seconds. I don't understand why so many people are like, oh, I don't want to use foil, it's too difficult. You haven't even tried. Like, how lazy can you? I'm sorry, guys. I don't.
Because their first experience was bad because then they use
so
kitchen
they
foils.
They
and
packed
everything.
wrong. They used the wrong tools. They used wrong everything. They didn't inquire. They didn't bother to learn the information. They didn't bother to invest their time. So they make a judgment on it without being equipped to be able to experience it at its full potential. That's just lazy. I'm sorry, but like, that's not fair to anything.
Yeah, and they
You know,
use HMDs because it's
if
convenient
you
for them.
listen, guys, my idea is, if you are such an enthusiast that you actually bother to go online looking for communities, groups, and forums to join, that means to some extent you're ready to take hookah seriously. And if that's the precedent, if you're taking hookah seriously, then there's certain standards that need to be applied to that, just like in every other hobby, craft, or industry. If you're gonna go to the gym and you dare to call yourself somebody that takes gym seriously, there's certain things that you apply to yourself when you're in the gym. You don't just do what you want, you do what's right. Same thing with basketball, soccer, fighting, MMA, gaming, name it. There are certain standards that you have to live up to. For some reason, when it comes to hookah, people prefer to be lazy. And that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it lazy because that's what it is. If you're not passionate about hookah, why are you in this group?
But
why are
you
in
have
the-
to connect it with the community. So what's your take on other communities? Are you in there? Are you enjoying your time?
I'm not in any other community, guys. The way Hookah Unbiased, before it was called Hookah Unlimited, started was basically because I noticed that other communities prioritized things that were not authentic. I noticed that there was a severe problem with brand affiliation and brand promotion. Oftentimes it wasn't even paid. It was just they got free product from some brand and they're promoting it. How dare you lie to people? How dare you look at yourself instead of the best for your members? They're there to trust you. They're there to invest time in what you have to teach and what you have to share. How dare you take advantage of that? I take it as a personal offense.
So in conclusion, that's why you are only inside of your community.
Yeah, I'm not interested in the community. If anybody wants to learn about hookah, they come to my community. I don't go to anybody else's community. I don't want to infringe on anybody's space, anybody's promotion, anybody's work. I don't care about them. I only care about the people that are truly passionate about hookah, that want to follow me or want to follow my community. And if you're in my community, you understand that a lot of it is vetted. It's not just my opinion. Everything is peer-reviewed. Everything is shared, and there's always discourse and discussion.
You describe idealistic world.
That's Hookah Unlimited. I've worked so hard to create that environment. To my dismay, oftentimes, because I do get criticized, I do get hated on, because I'm willing to set aside what's best for me for the sake of the members of my community.
Okay, last American question. What should happen to make hookah in America not great again, but better and innovative again?
Great again. Hookah in America is lacking, in my opinion. I think Russia and Europe is excelling. If America would take hookah seriously and look at not just their immediate numbers, and they could look at quality and prioritize performance again, they could easily, America has the resources. It's not like we don't have the resources to make great product. It's that people don't want to, brands don't want to make the investment because it's not a surefire thing. It's an experimental thing nowadays. Because if you look at sales, things like basic cheap hookahs are selling at a far greater rate than quality pieces. Whereas in Europe,
It's like in every industry, right?
well, I mean, you look at Germany. There's so much respect for brands like Stimulation and Aeon. You know, in Europe and in Russia, there's so much respect for brands like Hoob and Union. Whereas in America, B2 and Regal are a passing thought. Like, sure, Regal and B2 are popular in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is a small sector of the top of the rest of the United States.
What about Hawaii, Alaska?
Yeah, they don't even have access to. Look, I own a retail shop. The number of people that buy from Hawaii and Alaska are minimal. I mean, you also have to consider the shipping cost. Shipping to Hawaii, shipping to Alaska, shipping to Puerto Rico is the equivalent to shipping to Europe. The money you have to spend to be able to attain these unique products, it's not easy. And the people that do distribute to those, the distributors that do bring and import products to those states, they're going to take the lowest risk of Starbuzz, maybe Fumori.
So as you said, it's up to people to recognize quality, and then
If the
we can
people
move.
can recognize the quality, they could demand higher quality. If the people demand higher quality, the industry has no choice but to deliver. Guys, demand creates supply. This is the governing force of everything business. If the community is not informed, they don't know what good is. How are they going to demand better? If their point of reference is McDonald's, you're only going to ask for McDonald's, and the industry will only deliver McDonald's. But if you dare to ask for Gordon Ramsay, then they'll have to step up their game.
He's my favorite cook. Good to mention. And let's again speak about you. Tell me more about your hookah philosophy and style. Describe your, for example, everyday hookah. When you want to get your hookah, for example, tomorrow.
I've incorporated my life. I've incorporated hookah into my life. I am set apart from the average person. I'm not a representation of American smokers. I'm not a representation of anybody. I'm a representation of myself. I'm a representation of a person who's psychotically devoted to hookah and the hookah lifestyle. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do...
breakfast.
Listen, the first thing I do is put coals on, because I know in 8 minutes the coals will be ready. In those 8 minutes, I prepare my breakfast, I prepare my coffee.
A lot of tips are like that.
Everything's ready, the bowl's packed. As soon as the bowl's packed, my breakfast is ready, the coals are done.
And you forget to mention your morning poop.
No, actually nicotine doesn't affect me that way.
Oh.
Yeah, after smoking for so long, nicotine does not affect me.
We call it Dýmkařské hovno, aka the hookah
Yeah,
smoker.
I've heard that, and then scientifically speaking, nicotine is a laxative. It is a relaxant. It relaxes your intestines and your bowels release. But the truth is that, I don't know, maybe I'm just a special person, but nicotine has never affected me that way.
Yeah. So you don't make poop.
What the fuck kind of question? Shout out to TikTok, who have to listen to this right now. But
it was just
nicotine doesn't affect me that way.
Okay, so you're really a hookah guy. That's your philosophy.
Yeah, I smoke on average 10 to 12 hours a day.
Ooh.
Everything I do, there's a hookah. That's the beautiful thing about hookah. You could incorporate it to everything that you do.
Can you imagine one day without a hookah?
No, not because I'm addicted, but because it's just part of my life. It's like if you fall in love with somebody, can you imagine a day without them?
Not a single one.
Right? Same thing. I love hookah, guys. This is what somebody that genuinely loves hookah looks like, guys. This is what it looks like. It's just a natural
Armenian guy.
No, Armenian, Czech, whatever, it's irrelevant. It's just the passion, the love for the hobby, and how much of it that you enjoy, and how much of it you bring into your lifestyle.
Can you remember the best tobacco mix you've ever created?
No, I can't. Because a long time ago, I'm talking like maybe 19 or 20 years ago, I realized that mixology is very subjective. So I went that route completely. After making thousands and thousands of mixes over the years, I came to the conclusion that mixes are irrelevant. In my opinion, people that keep track of their mixes are beginners. Because at some point, you come to a conclusion where you realize, wow, I could create an indefinite number of mixes in the moment based on what I'm feeling like right now. So if I were to leave right here.
So we finally admit the subjectivity?
Oh, the subjectivity is given. This is what people don't understand. Because subjectivity is given, we don't need to talk about it. It's given to every individual. Everybody has a preference. The only person that could tell you what you like is you and nobody else. And conversely, you can't project your preference onto anybody else either. Which is why when people start talking about their subjective preference, I put a stop to it. It's not helping anyone. You're just projecting your ego onto other people. And that's pitiful in my book. It's a very small mindset, guys. Think bigger. Think about other people. Think about how you can improve other people's experience with hookahs. Not just like, guys, you know, if we go to a restaurant, the chances of us ordering the same thing on the menu is slim to none. How dare we assume that other people are going to like the same mix, the same packing style, the same as you? No, you have to apply objective rules and standards to everything you do so that you could actually benefit other people. And even if you're not doing that, at least give it a reference point. For example, I prefer to fluff pack Tangiers with a lotus because whatever the godforsaken reason is. But I recognize that if you dense pack it, you get an overall better session as far as longevity is concerned, flavor preservation is concerned, and quality of the session is concerned. But personally, I prefer this for this and this and this and that reason. At least do that. That way you're actually informing people so that the viewer can get something from your personal preference instead of just a blanket statement of nonsense. I like blonde girls. Why? I don't know. I just like it, bro. That's just sad, man. Oh my goodness. I like Coca-Cola. Why? I don't know, bro. I like it. Who are you helping? Nobody but yourself. And that, to me, that's beta male, sad, pitiful. Think about other people. If you really care about other people, you think about other people, not yourself. If you're selfish, egotistical, and you're just not a good person, you will prioritize yourself. That's just the rule of life, guys.
Let's go back to your activities, because recently you got active on TikTok.
Yeah.
And my
Shout out to TikTok.
And my question is, why TikTok, and what do you want to achieve on this platform?
Again, going back to my marketing experience, guys, I'm a marketer. I'm a businessman first. If I see if I recognize trends, I'm gonna go with that. Instagram is dead. Facebook is dead. TikTok is where it's at. Why would I not put myself out there on TikTok? I mean, to not do so is just being stubborn and ignorant. It's choosing not to see the obvious. You know, I put a reel on Instagram, I get maybe 1,500 views. I put the same exact video on TikTok, I get 60,000, 600,000 views.
Take a look on that TikToker.
I mean, that's just what it is.
And what's your goal there?
Is my mission to edify myself or introduce hookah to the masses? What is my mission? This is the number one thing. If you're part of a community, guys, if you're part of a forum, the number one thing you got to ask yourself, are you here for yourself or are you here for others? And if there is a division in the world of hookah, that's all it is. There are people who are here for other people and there are people for themselves. Which one are you? There can only be one. You have to choose. I chose to be for other people. And the people that have problems with me, have a problem with me because they're selfish and they only care about themselves. There you go, their representation, their image. So if I say something that makes them look bad, they have a problem with me. That's all it is.
Yeah, but we're speaking about TikTok, and what's your goal on TikTok?
The goal on TikTok is just to introduce hookah to the world. You know, TikTok has so many viewers, so many people that have the app, so many hours from the masses that are contributing into TikTok and spending time on TikTok. If I care about introducing hookah to the worldwide market, TikTok is the way to go. It's not. There's not even a thought about it. It's just logical.
So you simply chose the best platform.
I just chose the best platform to get the message across, which is fall in love with hookah. And it can be very, very giving, and it could be some of the most amazing hobbies that you could possibly invest in.
Okay, back to Prague. Hookah and Czech Republic, are you familiar?
Vaguely familiar. I only know about the market here based on whoever has come into the Hookah Unlimited group.
And based on your first ever experience, would you come back to Czech Republic and
absolutely.
taste the hookah again?
Absolutely, I would come to the Czech Republic. I would love for them to I would love for the Czech Republic to experiment with other options. Namely the use of provost when it comes to certain dark leaves. For example, dark side is actually better with a provost than a lotus. And what I mean by better is the standard that you apply. You know, you get better flavor, it lasts longer, you get better smoke. when you use a provost at the right pack, which is a light semi-dense.
So you like our experimenting?
I love experimenting, and one thing I respect about the Czech Republic is, and I've said this publicly in Hookah Unlimited at least, I've said this multiple times, the Czech Republic is the leader when it comes to the scientific approach to hookah in the entirety of Europe and Russia. Okay, so I have great respect for the Czech Republic. Believe it or not, I really, really genuinely do. And I've said this many times. I don't know if enough people have seen it, but I've said this dozens and dozens of times.
Okay, let's come back to you. What's your ultimate goal to achieve in the future in case of hookahs?
What's my ultimate goal to achieve?
In the hookah industry, for example.
My ultimate goal is to, if possible, if I could influence the market and if I could influence the industry to make better product at better prices, that's my goal.
And the last question is, if you could be a prophet, can you forecast some kind of future for our industry? Bad one, good one. What do you think is ahead of us?
Hookah is going to experience a lot of flack over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's based on the community, it's based upon the hookah enthusiasts and the hookah smokers to fight, because tobacco is very looked down upon. The world is favoring cannabis over tobacco. And I've made a few TikTok videos disproving the notion that hookah is actually as bad for you as they say it is. A lot of the studies are wrong, and they utilize bad science and bad approach and bad methodology. I've proven this over and over and again, and I will continue to fight this fight till my dying day. I will die on this hill, guys. Hookah is not as bad for you as people think it is. I am the living example of this. I've smoked more than anybody else in the world in the last 20, 21 years, and I'm in perfect health. My lungs are clear. I have no cancer. It's so much nonsense, because the fact of the matter is that the tobacco in hookah doesn't even get to burn at the temperature required for it to release all the carcinogens and the toxins that you get out of cigarettes and cigars. Hookah is not what people think it is. And yet, the world is very much against it just because of its association with tobacco. It's up to us to be informed. It's up to us to be equipped so that we can actually have an opportunity to not be lazy and demand proper representation at a government level. And that's based on the people, because any politician will appeal to what the masses require. But if hookah smokers stay quiet, if we stay lazy, if we don't go and protest, if we don't make known what we want, hookah is going to be banned worldwide.
Sarkis, we are in the end of our interview. So you have the last opportunity to say to our Czech audience and your TikTok audience something nice, maybe something bad, maybe. It's up to you. Your final message.
If I could leave any messages, be better. Focus on other people and not yourself. Prioritize strangers over you and your friends. Put value into the world, and the world will give value back to you. I have this amazing opportunity only because I've been selfless. My mission is to be selfless, and I think anybody with honor and valor, which matter to me. Maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm traditional, but honor and valor absolutely matter to me. I live my life in a certain set of principles, and I like to portray those set of principles. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I know I can be like an unmovable rock sometimes, but it's because I'm firmly planted in my beliefs. And I believe that at the very least, that deserves some semblance of respect. If I could urge the people to focus on others other than yourself, then that would make me a happy person. If a brand comes with you with an opportunity or a deal or a cooperation, but if the brand is not good quality, don't take that. Have some standards, apply standards to your life, to your being, and that in itself will be rewarding. Stand instead of fall back. Don't give up, push forward, and hopefully others will follow suit.
Look at the philosopher. Sarkis, I'm really glad that you came here to Czech Republic, to Kaviar, to have a conversation with me and the Czech audience. I really want to thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
And Prague has been amazing to me, and Prague is an amazing city. If anybody wants to travel Europe, make sure to visit Prague and the Czech Republic, because it's very, very giving, and the people are amazing, guys. It's a beautiful city, through and through.
I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you, exactly, the audience, that you came by and you enjoyed the whole show. Thank you to our sponsors, Kokoloko, Hookah, SHANTI, and Kaviar, for being here. And let's enjoy this night. Sarkis is about to show you his packing methods, and he can pack a bowl for you.
Let's go, guys.
Don't waste this opportunity to learn or just to enjoy his style of packing hookahs. So have a great night, and we go packing.
Thank you guys. Nothing but love.
A děkujeme za pozornost.